Righty-ho, has everyone got their full of pizza and ready to go? So this is the second one in the series that John and Ross have finally agreed to run for us. I just can't express how much we appreciate what they're doing. Just reminding you about the Think Like Pilot campaign. These lectures or talks that we're putting together, they're trying to fit in that. So this is like us thinking about what our environment is and the conditions that we're flying in. We're going to try and keep it pretty focused just on that. So we don't really want questions about how to fly the site, how the thermal, where the thermals are, that kind of thing. It's just, what's the key conditions for the site and how you fly it. Because there's a hell of a lot of flight up sites to get through. And we want to get home before midnight. So without any further ado, thank you very much, guys. I'll hand it over to you.
You want to bring up tails first, John?
Yes, boss.
Much faster. Don't that one.
What do you mean, the other one?
The tail side. That's it.
Who's got the key?
I have.
You?
Cool. Hi guys, thanks for turning up again. We've got 7 sites to roughly talk about. I'm not going to go into depth about each site because it can be quite involved. This particular site, as everyone knows, Taylor's Mistake. I could talk 2 hours on this site quite easily because of the different wind directions and the thermals and all that there. So we're going to just briefly go through each site, talking about them so everyone kind of understands what's going on. So, as we all know, we've got all these sites there. Here's your main one there, we've got top landing there. We've got 2 sites there, and you can take off here as well. And then we're at the lower takeoff here, where most students take off from, especially if it picks up and the sea breeze gets up. Then we've got a lower takeoff here, these are mainly for students. And this here is your track up, back up, main landing paddock down here, northeasterly wind flow. Right, this particular site, remember, in the back of the bowl here is the compression zone. So when the sea breeze picks up, it compresses through here. Hence why you'll see quite a more experienced pilots fly down here, especially when it's light, because we know that this breeze coming through here from the northeast, it's getting compressed through here like the Venturi effect, as the hill pushes together. Think of it as water getting pushed through. And then when it comes through, it gets compressed and goes flying up here, which creates a bit more air pressure. And at the very top here, it gets really compressed up there and gets quite strong compared to down here. Okay? Now, Devil's Punch Bowl, the reason why I call it that is you can get quite active flying in here at times, especially if the sea breeze picks up, or mainly thermals can punch through there quite nicely. I recommend flying in there if you've got quite a bit of experience, because quite a few of us fly in here because we can't maintain here, we'll come over here because it compresses through there quite a bit more, and the thermals do come through there quite strong. Once you get more experience, if you want to experience a little bit more active flying on your wing, come into here. But make sure it's not a strong northeast or a strong easterly. Just stay away from this area in here, from here down, okay?
Because it gets really quite
Yeah,
blowing through the channel there.
Yeah, what happens is you got rotor starting to form from here, and you get quite turbulent in there. Generally you can feel it. If it's quite strong already up here, you fly way up here anyway. But when you come into here, you will feel the air mixing. It's actually just feels really rough, okay? Generally I come in here with more experience, pilots, we come in here when it's reasonably light winds coming up about, it's a light northeast or that, and we're coming in here to grab the thermals to maintain. And generally, once we've got the hydrogen and all that, once it starts coming on here, we'll fly from here over to here and start working them up. But flying in here is actually quite fun. It's quite a challenge to stay up. It's good practice. Once you get more experience under your wing, it's really good practice to fly in a little bit of active air so you control your wing and you understand what's happening with your wing in a bit more turbulent air. It's not turbulent, but it is punchy, okay? And as I said, if the northeast is increasing like this, it starts white capping out to sea, or it goes east this way, this in here, as you can see, starts to become quite rotary, or not rotary, because this particular hill is quite rounded. So this here and here will come down like that, just as the arrows. So if you decide to fly down there and it's really strong out to sea, you'll just go down like a rock, and it could be quite rough. Okay. Now, as I said, I could talk 2 hours or so or more about Taylor's mistake on the different wind conditions. I've just set this up as a case scenario with a northeast wind. This is generally one of the common winds, but nowadays it seems to be more easterlies we're getting these days. Okay. Now, what else? If you're flying up here, you can fly in the back here once you get a bit more knowledge and you feel safe and secure if you wing. Just be aware, you get compression zone up in here. The wind does pick up quite a bit. Don't start flying up back here, because the higher you go, the wind is increasing in strength. And if you're flying near that ridge, it gets really compressed through there. Be aware of that. Because it is fun, because you can work up here, and then you can come back into here and fly into there. If you've never done it before, it's a new experience to try. It's a lot of fun. And once you can start doing that, you can start flying down this ridge here. You may have seen some of us pilots do it from time to time. It's a lot of fun, but it adds to your knowledge of flying. I can't speak highly enough of Taylor's mistake for people learning everything more or less about flying, okay? This particular site is just amazing. The reason why is we get all sorts of airflow in here. We virtually get everything we need for flying in the aspects of getting experience. We get light winds in here. It means you can come down here and keep yourself up in light winds. It's a challenge. Don't be afraid to do it, okay? The reason why is that way you learn how to work light air. When to turn in the left. Don't turn out of left. Always turn in the left. Because in your turns is where you lose most of your height. If you get a bit of lift in here, don't keep flying straight full out of it. Do your turn in the left. Stay in that lift, do your turn. And flying in light conditions is really good. It just builds your experience up. Okay? Because when it does come to the day you're flying in the mountains, that conditions are light, you're used to flying in light conditions. You know how to work that air. Now, the other bonus here, when the winds start to push up through here from the east, up through here, it gets quite strong, as we all know. But you learn how to fly in strong winds. You learn how to descend and top land up here, or do side hill landings on here with your big ears and all that. That's another massive learning tool we're so lucky to have. Thermals. We get some really nice thermals in here. You can learn how to thermal in here if you wish. Once you get the height, you can start doing the 360s in them. We get also bullet thermals through here as well. That means the air's a bit rough. Don't be scared of it. Start to learn how to fly that bit of rough of air. It's good for experience, because you will get it when you go into the mountains and other locations. Learn, okay? But remember, stay in your safety zone you're comfortable with. Another thing is here, in the evenings we get beautiful glass-offs. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of them. The valley releases all its heat and gets super, super smooth. It could be really light winds on takeoff up here, it might be only 8, 12 k's. And you fly a little bit out from takeoff, it could be really light winds on takeoff. You fly out here about 20 metres or 50 metres out here, you hit the glass off. And you just go up so nice and smooth. It's silky smooth. And we call it a glass off. because it's all the heat releasing from the valley and going up. That's about really all about the site. Just keep an eye on when you're landing down here of your the wind strength and all that. Watch out for the public down here, of course. Because sometimes, you know, during the midsummer and that, they can park right up. Do they extend in here or not, the park during summer?
Yeah.
They do?
Sometimes, yeah.
Like it before.
Yeah. So just be aware of that, okay? You can practice side hill landings here if the wind's a bit stronger. Don't land up there, land on here, okay? Side hill landings. Unfortunately, I've been seeing quite a bit of it in the last few years now. People are coming in to take, when the wind's getting up, less the airtime pilots, what they're doing is they're coming in here, across here, and they're putting a lot of brake on. And unfortunately, I've been seeing quite a few people from 2 or 3 metres hit really hard because they're full still in their wing, trying to come down because it's getting strong, because they don't understand their wing at that particular time. They're still very inexperienced on the stalls on the wing, and they're putting a lot of brake on because I think what's happening is they see more experienced people do it, and they do it, but they don't understand the full still point of their wing. And you know, 2 or 3 metres off the ground, they're putting their wing in for a full stall and coming down. There was one just a week and a half ago, one guy there, 2 or 3 metres off the ground, full stall because he wanted to get down. Please don't do that until you get a lot more experience. If the wind's up and all that, come out here at the front, pull your ears in, lose your height out here, then come in sideways, body roll, and slowly bring your wing in this way out the front. It doesn't matter if you land down here or anything like that, okay? Just keep your ears in and come in and then pop them out before you get into here. And if you're coming in too high, go back out and do it again. Doesn't matter if you land down here or that, you're safe. But if you come along here and pull your brakes in, you'll full still your wing until you fully understand the performance of your wing and when it's going to full still. I don't see it quite often now, and I don't like seeing it happen to any people. Everyone I've been seeing doing it, lucky have got up and walked away from it, but they've had a hell of a scare out of it because they didn't understand what they were doing with their wing. Okay? And if need be, if you're uncomfortable landing up there, come and land down the bottom and just walk back up or get a ride up with someone else. Because it only takes one serious mistake and you can seriously injure yourself, okay? Any questions about the slide?
Could I just add
Yep.
something about the bottom of the valley? And this is something I learned the hard way.
Yep.
And I've seen other people do it as well. When the wind's not super strong,
Yep.
but it's a little bit above, like really calm. And if you get too low down in the bottom of the valley, the wind just gets really compressed in the bottom of
That's
it,
correct.
and suddenly you're just not going forwards.
Yep.
And then it starts getting turbulent and you just end up behind the fence. I've landed there when I've expected to go through to the,
Yep.
the field, and then suddenly I've just been going down and,
Yeah.
not forwards. And
Yeah.
and I've
Just-
seen other people do it, so
Yeah.
I mean,
Just
I'm really aware of
remember,
now.
compression zones through there, the truly affect. The air gets squeezed through. Just think of water going through rocks or that, it gets compressed through here. Yeah, good point.
Ross,
Yo,
is he above the landing above the road? Is that?
yeah, now this landing here is above the fence. There's a nice gate there to get through now. So, it's a good spot to land. It's a little bit trickier, but the problem, it's good because, as we know, these days, the takeoff is getting quite busy. Okay? And there can be a lot of people quite in their wagons and mucking around here. Either you land a bit further down here, side hill land, or you can practice top landing up here as well. Now the ground does slope away, so it is a little bit more difficult. So you have to do your wing overs and that, but just land in there. It's simple to land. Once you've got experience, it could be a little bit rougher here, but it's better if you're panicking trying to come in here and there's people everywhere, just come up here. Now the big bonus here is you've got all this hill up here.
It's huge.
It's huge to land in. I've seen people land way up here. It's been really strong winds, and they've landed way up there. But it's not a problem because if you do get dragged, you've got so much hill behind you. You get that wind down. Okay.
And there's so much room that even if you can't get down your own big ears, you just ride them all the way to the ground.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about flaring because you're already going slowly or using space.
Yeah. You don't have to land in here. As I stated before, people putting so many brakes on the less experienced pilots and don't understand their wing and they're going in for a full stall. Once you understand your wing and all that, then you can start doing that. But I don't particularly like doing it even myself. I do it from time to time, but I understand my wing with still point is. You learn that, you get that experience once you fly. You can feel your wing, what it's doing. Anton.
Yeah, I was just wondering if I was to actually do one of these little, doodackies up here and sort of try and travel around here.
Yeah.
All this is fairly reasonable, isn't it? Because it's quite flat to land on.
Yeah.
If you do end
Yeah.
up bloody running short,
Yeah.
wouldn't be an issue.
No. You can land anywhere here.
Yeah, all
You
right.
don't have to land back here. You can land down here,
Yeah.
or you can land down here. It doesn't matter. That's if the wind's picking up, okay?
There's just one little thing I'm going to add to this is there's a possibility of getting into a trap, I call it, because you have a power line here, remember?
Yeah.
And here there's a fence that follows all the paddocks. So if you're losing your height here, just make sure you don't push forward too much on your final glide for landing, for example. Just make sure you make big S's and leave yourself room here, because you might just like, oh, geez, I'm getting picked up again. And suddenly you get a fence, and then you get the cars as well that are parked here. And you don't have other options to escape, because then you got just a little gap in here to go through. It's not great.
Yeah.
So yeah, buy your time here, like Ross was saying.
But all that stuff for your riders at the moment, right up there,
Yeah.
That's all good.
that's all good.
You can
Just
land
in
up-
case I bomb out, like.
Obviously, there's Venturi here, because the air is going to want to go up. So there's acceleration and less lift.
Yeah.
The closer you are to the top, less lift it is and more acceleration of air. So you got to watch all that rim here.
Because it's quite flat through there, so there's
Yeah.
not much lift, but it really compresses. So you've got to be aware of that, okay? Keep an eye on your ground speed when you're flying.
Yeah.
Because once you start to get experience, as I said before, you can learn so much of tailors. You can learn everything here, but it's safe. If you want a bit of rough air, you can come over here once you've got more experience. But you can get punchy thermals all through here. Don't hesitate in flying in it. Sometimes it's good to fly a little bit of rough air. So you get used to your wing, a little bit of active flying. Active flying is put into your wing all the time. Okay? And on.
Just one last question. What would be the ideal scenario for taking off here?
Light winds.
Just light winds, like off
Because
easterly,
you gotta
easterlies.
remember- Yeah.
You wouldn't worry about due east coming over the hill there and
No,
no,
no. I would take.
Probably better northerly,
northerly.
Yeah, I have taken off
It's
from there
like
before.
northerly on takeoff. Sorry, Ross.
That's right.
Go ahead.
I've
Okay.
taken off there many a times. But got to remember, as John mentioned before, we've got that phone cable around behind us. I usually walk down the hill down, but if it's coming through, you got to remember it's getting compressed through here. Okay? So you got to remember, you'll get there. You'll know if it's too strong or not. If it's too strong, don't even bother, because you'll end up putting your wing over top of that cable. I've seen it done many, many times, unfortunately. It's a phone cable, it's not electric, so in some aspects we're quite lucky.
I mean, it's not a very long walk, it's already a bit windy there. I would probably just bunch my wing on my shoulder and then walk there's a little mountain bike trail there and take this one.
Yeah.
And then from there, you get a better option to get away from the strong wind in here.
Yeah.
Just remember, it does compress there through there really strong, but not quite as bad here. Because it's getting pushed through there and over through there.
Yes.
Up here, it's going up here. Most people go up here to get away from the crowd sometimes, but if it's really strong up here, don't bother, unless you've got good control. It's a good place to leave your cable launches, because you're going to get more wind up here a lot sooner than your board tailors. Because as I said before, you get the compression going through. And it's a big area up here. It's actually quite big. There's plenty of room to practice, and it's generally not busy up there anyway. So if you want to get away from all the public over here, you go up here, wander around there and practice your cobra launches or no-win launches. As I said, Taylor's is a brilliant training ground for anywhere you want to fly in the future. Because you can do so much here to challenge yourself. It's such a little area, but it's fantastic. Because believe me, you learn how to thermal here, you can get some serious height out here. You can thermal away from here and go off to Castle Rock or whatever. It has been done many a times. Well, not many, but a few times. Who was it? Andra and Ryan. What? That one particular day, they went down, Andra and Ryan went down. Was Ryan, I think, went down first, didn't he? And then, was it, yeah.
I think I first.
Yeah, Andrew went down there, hooked a beauty thermal, and he just thermal way up to here. And Ryan went down about 20 minutes later, hooked the same thermal, and both of them went up really skied out.
That's
It's
probably one
impressive
of the
to watch.
best source here
Yeah,
for good thermal, for good power. Sometimes that little shoulder has one as well.
yeah, that one there.
And then on the nose here, sometimes there's something, and it's typically because it follows all these gullies and it finds a trigger point. So this heat goes up here, then oops, it goes this way, and then it finds a trigger point here and releases. The further you go this way, the less thermal you'll find because that heat now is just being pushed out. It's not releasing, it's just accelerating in that way. So, any questions
So yeah,
for that?
as I said, so we've got the thermals there, coming up through there, as John said. Quite often they come up through there. If you've got the height and the thermals there, you play with them, learn how to fly them. Don't fly straight through them. If you've got plenty of room, start to do your 360s. Learn how to do it. It's a fantastic place to learn.
Especially in light winds. When
Light
the wind
winds.
increases, your 360 is no longer a circle, it's an oval.
Yeah.
So you gotta watch that.
Sea breeze comes in, the thermals lean over more and more and more. So it's harder to chase the thermals. Andre?
Can you talk a little bit about the Canterbury winds at the end of the day and maybe signs of norwesterly pushing in?
Yeah, I was going to that nor'wester after the other two slides. Canterbury comes down here. You got the sea down here. The sea's warmer, so you get the cold air comes down the valley. And then you got your outer batter. When the sea thermals start popping up, the sea breeze starts getting drawn in. Because the land's getting hotter and all that. Thermals are popping off. You got cold air on the sea. Sun's going to replace all that hot air rising. So all that cold air from the sea comes in. And you can get it in the mountains and all that, Canterbury will come down, okay? And then 10 o'clock something like, or 9:30, it'll start to reverse. You learn that in PG tours, remember, don't you? So Canterbury. Yeah.
Every kind of trip, in particular in the winter evenings, and you'll be getting this Canterbury, be onshore to about 10 metres off the deck.
Yeah.
And you think you're coming in into wind, but the lowest 10 metres it's going offshore.
Yeah.
So
It will be the last flight of the day when
yeah,
it's really
just
calm and
beware
you
it
just
might
want to get one more in when you're doing forward launch, just to take off.
Yeah.
And you come in at the bottom and suddenly, instead of your 20 k's an hour, you come in and
Yeah.
Keep an eye on the windsock and believe the windsock.
Yeah.
Sometimes you look at it and you don't want to believe it because you've flown tailors so many times, it's always the same way. But if it's the other way, I remember doing a tandem with Andra where he was learning and we got caught in it. It looked good, but yeah, and it was kept bad. So we took the whole landing somewhere.
It happens a lot at the gondola landing pad during winter.
You can come in across the paddock and make a decision at the last
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah. You come this way and turn around and land the other way. That's good.
Yeah, it happens a lot at the gondola landing paddock, especially at winter, around 4 o'clock, 3:45, 4:15 around there. Instead of the wind coming up the valley, she'll start coming around, coming down the valley. It's like it's gone subtly on you.
Do you want the other slide for the northwest effect when it comes at tails? Do you want to talk about the northwest now?
Yeah, let me talk about nor'west now if you want. Right, we talked about this, I briefly covered this with when Brian had his last chat about the weather forecast. We touched on the nor'west. Now, the thing to look at on this particular site, Taylor's mistake here, is the typical northwest can come in here, and you get quite nasty. Okay, perfect example is today. We've got lenticular clouds everywhere. There's northwest sky everywhere, and all that. Today, John and me were out fishing at the Huronuri and all that today, and there's quite a reasonable strong nor'wester out there. We hit just past Angley.
Yep.
Goes northeast, boom, is the northeast established. Got to remember that that's not a true northeast. It's a northwest going up top the South Island, coming through the Cook Strait and back down. Is that correct, Brian? Yep. Right. Now the signs to look out for. Now, I've been on this, flying this site for probably 34 years or so now. And I used to be an instructor on here for 10, 12 years. Now, what I've noticed is from all that time is, with the typical, you'll have your northeast established. What will happen is you'll be flying, it could be 15, 20 k's, perfect, nice sea breeze coming in, okay? What will happen is that sea breeze will start to die off. All of a sudden that sea breeze will start dropping down to maybe 9, 12 k's. There's your first indication that something is changing, especially if you know there's lenticular clouds and nor'west in the mountains already. That means the nor'west is trying to push in on the northeast. It's trying to kill it. So there's your first major indication that something is happening. It's fine to fly, but once you stop soaring, you can't maintain anymore. Generally, I say, right, that's it. Something's happening, okay? The second indicator I've noticed here is that will go from northeast or easterly. It'll start swinging around more north, okay? That's another good true indicator that something's changing as well. Another third one is that air temperature will increase at Taylor's mistake. So it'll be nice cool northeast and then the temperature will start to rise, sea breeze will start to back off, and it'll start to go northerly. So there's a lot of indicators that there's something happening going on. You can check the wind indicator at Allendale. That will generally give you information if it's going northwest. Because Allendale's a lot higher, so it will pick it up there. Another good one I also use is Met Service, Central City. Now Central City is the actual Christchurch airport. It will touch down there just as well. Quite often I've been there and I've stopped flying here because the northeast is saying, you can't fly anymore, that's it. You just can't red soar anymore. I've checked the Met Service at Christchurch Airport and it's been light northwest there. So there's plenty of indications that something is happening. And as we all know, there's boats out at sea, those big boats parked up out, we're quite lucky to have them. They're a brilliant indicator. Quite often they'll start to swing north, they'll be northeast or west, and then they'll start pointing north. There's another indicator. But the main one I found is that the sea breeze will start to back off. And you can't fly anymore. Because you can't, well, you can fly, but you can't red soar anymore. Now, on some days, I have found that some days the northwest won't quite push in, and the sea breeze will stay there, probably around 6, 8 k's all day. The northwest just doesn't quite push in. But personally myself, once I can't red soar anymore, I land, call it quits. Sometimes it does pick up again, because you've got to remember, you've got the northwest here, you've got the northeast here. They're virtually having a scrap between each other, who's going to dominate. Quite often I've been here, I've packed up and all that. Case scenario, when was it, last year? I packed up, I left, John left a bit later. I got home, there was a screaming northwest at my house. There was a light northeast backing off here at Taylor's Mistake. John went through the tunnel and there's a screaming northwest. Okay? So just be wary of what's going on.
Another really good indicator is you very often see dust being kicked up in one neck of the continent.
Yeah. Counts. And you can keep on the ships out at sea too. They'll start swinging more north. So you got your main indicators what's going on.
You can get a reading from 2,000 feet from the airport as well. Yeah. The Christchurch Airport, if you ring them up, they've got a number there
I think you ring the number, then push 1 or 0, I can't remember.
You can get an app.
Yeah, well, that's right, you can too.
I like to call it.
And it will tell you the winds at 2,000 feet.
Where's that on?
Hey?
What's that on?
You can get an app for it, and that phone number you ring for up the tower. There's a number, you push 0, I think it is, and then it will give you a readout at 2,000 foot winds. I don't know how quick it's updated though, but I think it's on a very
I
regular
think it
basis.
tells you the last time of the reading,
Yeah,
or the time of the last reading.
yeah. It's quite a handy tool to have. I use it quite a bit, especially with the gondola or something like that. See what the winds are doing up high. It's a good handy tool. But as I said, the indications are there for the nor'wester. No questions? All good?
Yeah.
Right, next.
There's another quick one I use for the nor'wester. It's just 2 seconds. If you can't soar anymore, like you can't stay up anymore, like Ross was talking about, and you see lots of white cap beyond the Scarborough Cliffs, just north over the cliffs, there's white caps everywhere. Yet no one actually can soar anymore. This is the northwest. It's coming through and it's not creating lift anymore. It's overwhelming the easterly and pushing it away.
So you're seeing all these white caps, but you can't soar, you're saying? That's a pretty good
So there's definitely wind. There's loads of white cap on the water, but it's not coming east at all.
It's hit Brighton, it's going through New Brighton, but it hasn't hit Taylor's yet. So, but
Generally, as the day goes on, it goes more easterly. So if you start in the morning and it's a bit northerly, the sea breeze will pull it easterly. And then if it starts to go back to the north, then that's generally a sign that the northwest is starting to wind.
right, we're going to talk about the cliffs there now. We've got the takeoff there. As I recall, that's rated as a PG3 takeoff. There, we've got a landing field here, which is the beach, or there. That particular takeoff here is rated as PG3. It still is PG3, is it? I recall.
Yeah.
The FO comes up in here. And actually, as you can see, that hill's quite taken. So we don't really get erosion in this particular area. We might get a little bit lower down, but it's once you pull your wing up about a quarter of the deck, it catches the breeze coming up here, and it goes up, sits above your head, nice and clean. Okay. When it's off to the north, that's a completely different situation. So as I said, it is PG3 rated. Now, this is typical northeast. We've got a major compression zone through here. If you're flying at the cliffs for the first time, stay in front of the cliff face till you start to get more experienced. But you got to remember, once you start flying back here, it gets more compressed. And don't fly out here and fly backwards here a bit, because you're in a major compression zone. Especially when it's strong. I know a few people have ended up in back here and had some pretty nasty experience there. This particular guy here, he was flying, it was already quite a strong northeast. And he was flying, he went out to the point and he got back here. He wasn't looking at his ground speed. And all of a sudden he was back here and he had no more forward speed. And he was quite low. All he could do, because he couldn't push forward here anymore, so he ended up turning, running, and he didn't go wide enough, and he ended up in here, and he got pretty well rotated in pretty big time. And it happened that one of my good mates was out there canoeing and paddling in the canoe and picked him up. There has been a number of people who ended up in here due to simply just flying over here into the compression zone and losing their full speed. It's easy to do. Just be aware where you are when you're flying in this particular time till you get more experience. So when you're flying here for the first time, just stay in front of the cliffs or, just behind them here. You got to remember, once the northeast increases, the lift zone gets bigger, as you can see by the green arrows there. You got your little erosions on the edge here and here. And then you got your rotor, typical rotor coming over the back here. So keep in front if you're flying there for the first time, and stay up here. There's no need to go way back here, because you'll get yourself in trouble. Believe me, and once you get back there, your forward speed slows right down. It's quite significant. Don't fly here when it's light, if you're not experienced in flying this site, okay? Generally wait for, maybe you'll see some more experienced PG2s out there flying all that, and you can see them reasonably high. Well, go out there and fly. If you're sinking out, you're a bit concerned, you can fly back to Tars, or you can just land in these particular spots. This landing spot here, unfortunately, we used to call this the donkey paddock, because there used to be donkeys in there. But unfortunately, 5 years ago, so they planted a lot of trees in here, and there's still an empty spot there you can land in there. It's not too bad. We used to land in here with tandems all the time. We stopped landing up here with tandems. We used to take off from here and just land here. But the air in here was quite messy. But we found that if landed down here, the air was a lot cleaner.
So you're not worried about any rotor going off the...
No.
Off the...
You might have a little bit on the edge, but it's amazing how clean that air is. I've landed there many, many times, and I've never ever had trouble landing in there at all.
Okay.
It's due to the angle of the hill and all that. It's quite low.
It depends how far back you come from, right? Like if you set yourself up
Yeah.
far behind.
If you land way back here, well, you're going to end up in trees and bush and scrub and all that. I've seen many people land back here, but I've never ever seen them erosion. What happens is they get in the compression zone. They just go like this. Okay? Generally in the top
Further
half.
back though.
Yeah. Further back. Well, I used to land in here, around here somewhere. Up in this top half here, well, you can't land there anymore because it's covered in trees. But it used to be quite turbulent in there.
Okay.
Okay? Now this is the northeast flow. As I said, you know, we have a flow, we have north-northeast flow, we have an easterly flow. Like the easterly flow is more this way. So you're going to have a lot of ground speed going this way, but coming back this way, less forward speed. But this compression zone here gets bigger again, because you've got to try and come back this way. Anything to add to that, John?
No, that sounds good to me.
No questions on that?
How far off to the north and to the east can you fly?
Right. When it goes north-northeast, what happens is, I'm going to talk about this on the next slide a little bit more, but we never used to take off from here because it was too northern. Because what happens, the north-northeast hits this ridge here, and it really creates a lot of sinking air in here. I've come through here, I've come from Tarzan here in the north-northeast, and I've come in here, and I've just gone around there, but I knew I was going to hit lift here. Because it's amazing how much sinking air, you get in that dead air with light rotor coming off there. It really kills it. But once get past this point here, you're fine. And you can actually work this ridge here, because it's a north-northeast. But just be aware of the direction of the wind when you fly. When it's easterly, well, the wind flow's coming this way, it's starting to come this way a bit more. So your ground speed that way is a lot quicker, but slower come back here. Just be aware, as I said, with the easterly, your compression zone here is a lot bigger. You can slow right down here. It's quite a good compression zone. But you'll find the easterly will come up here a bit more, and you can sometimes get lift off this coming up here. Now, if you're coming down from Taylor's, never, I'm going to talk about this on the next pick, but never ever come in here alone, fly across there and then try to go to there. It does not work. I've seen a person hanging off here once with the glider pinned on the hill, keeping them up. Because it's just for some reason they decide to fly low. They flew across here and they wanted to go into here. Don't do it. I've seen a guy down in here landing in the water.
Is there any lift below the grid height?
I don't really want to find out. Well, what I've seen from the years, I've never seen anyone get up above. Once you get down to about here, that's it.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
lost.
Once you get that.
Yeah, out of that lift zone, it's amazing. You think there'd be lift, but person myself, I don't want to find that.
I had bad experience when it actually went from east to southeast, which can happen. And it goes parallels with the cliff at that stage. And you basically have to survive and end up in these areas here, try to get as high as you can to just go over the next little area. And so one thing that it's easy to understand in a way to find out your wind direction on the cliffs is, well, if it's already 20 k an hour at the wind, the whole for at Taylor's, but over here, the guys and the people flying don't seem to get much altitude at all. That's an indication to me that it's not dead on. It's slightly one way or the other. So if you see people nice and high, well, that means that your transition through, Ross is going to talk about the transition through, is a lot easier than, for example, on a northerly flow. And this is where a lot of people get caught trying to go from here to fly to the cliffs when there's more of a northerly flow. So if people here have been there for a while and they don't seem to get much altitude, and it's already kind of showing on the whole for you that is a north-northeast, be careful on your way there because there's hardly any lift, and then you end up in this zone here, which is the rotor zone. This is where people have unfortunately fallen off the sky and end up in these bushes behind, getting rotored.
Just when you arrive on a strong easterly day, do you ever turn back just to check your forward speed to make it back?
Yep. Good question. Always keep an eye on your ground speed, especially easterly. Turn and see what your foot. Don't go all the way out to here. If it's reasonably strong, I would stop around here and turn into the east and just check my forward speed. If you've got a Vero with ground speed, check it. Don't just fly straight out to here if it's already established easterly and it's already white cap. Don't fly straight out to here, then do your turn. You think, oh shit, I've got no forward speed. Do your turn back here. Because you've got to remember, easterly compressors in here. It's a simple thing to do, especially in an easterly. Right, this particular one, I've decided to put this one in, because unfortunately I've seen it time and time again where people have come in low through here and they've been eroded and come smashing down here. It's a common, how can I put it, it's just part of the error. Thinking that they can sneak over here, over this little point, fly through the rotor zone and get away from it. They believe that there's no rotor zone. Believe me, there's a rotor zone there and you will fall out in that sky. I've seen some people get seriously rotored in here, big time. And you get very nasty very quick. So generally, the pink lines here, you don't have to follow this ridge line out to the cliffs, okay? You can take different directions. Generally, if it's off to the north, if I'm coming out this way, and I know it's off to the north, I'll start coming out more this way. Because once you come out to here, you get out to here, then you can swing over here, around to that north sinking zone. But the main problem is people take off from north and east, they don't get that high at TARDIS when they try it for their first time or they've done it a few times. Okay? Get as high as possible. There's no reason why is that gives you that safety aspect when you're flying out there. And the performance of gliders, you've got to remember, some pilots are flying less performance wings than others. That's a factor you've got to take into consideration too. There's some wings are designed to cut through that forward air really fast, really efficient. But most wings these days, and believe me, these Bs and A+ wings and all that are amazing performance. It blows me away what they can do nowadays. Now, if it's a northeast day, as I said, people fly down here, they follow the ridge line, and they might be only 50 metres or 100 metres above the ridge. They keep going. And then they think they're going to sneak over this. You're not going to sneak over it. You're going to get rotated. And all of a sudden, you're falling out of the sky pretty quick. And you've got to remember, you're not even going to be that high above here when it does happen. So you're not going to have time to really react to your wing. So just be aware. If you're coming down here, you're maybe only 100 metres above this ridge. Personally myself, if I get here, I'll be flying down here. I'd rather land down here safely than fly into that rotor zone. I do see people go like this and land in there. That's fine, they get away with it. But I'd rather fly down to here and here.
That's in the case if the wind speed is above 20 kilometers an hour. Because if it's 12, 15 at Taylor's, I've done that many times, and I cleared Brossard, and then I'm going to lift, and then I'll make my way up, and then Taylor's makes people early staying up. You get, I'm gonna say, I did this. I don't know if it's like just luck, but I'm doing it quite constantly.
Yeah, well, just be careful. That is a good point, because you got to remember, increasing the airspeed increases your turbulent zone. So if it's only maybe 15 or so k's, the turbulent won't be as big. But eventually, if you keep pushing it, you will get caught out. And
When I first went to the cliff, someone told me if you're on glide and you're almost there and you're going to be there above the pine trees, that's a good reference point. Would you say that's a good?
yeah, I'd say it's a good reference point. But just be aware, if it's quite strong and your forward speed's quite slow, just be aware that turbulent zone's going to be bigger. And
So
if you
if someone flies through cliffs and it's fairly light conditions, you can just stay around the takeoff and keep your escape routes open. You know,
Yeah.
like if it's
Yeah.
starts dying out, you always
Yeah.
can make it to the beach. You don't
So if it's only 15 k's or that coming through here, yes, pilots, I see pilots pushing it, and they might be only 20 metres above this ridge. Personally myself, I wouldn't do it myself. It's not worth the risk. Chances are you'll be above the road and you'll clear it, but are you prepared to take the risk? And you got to remember, when it is 20 odd k's, this rotor zone gets a lot bigger. And your ground speed is really slow, so when you do hit that rotor zone, you got to get hit. Okay, this is why I brought this up, because I've seen it too often. Pilots just hoping like hell they'll get through there and clear it, and they get away with it sometimes, especially if it's lighter. But it only takes one mistake. I know of one pilot, he flew out, it was really light at the cliffs, he flew down here, flew over to here, and decided I'll fly back onto here. He ended up down here. Don't underestimate the cliffs. Just be safe with it. As I said, get as much high as you can here, then push out. You can follow the ridge down, and you've got plenty of height here, keep pushing. If you're like not much higher on that ridge, I'll be starting to turn tail. But get your height here. If it's a northerly, in this area here, it's really sinky. Quite often I've been super high here, and I've pushed out. Time I've got to here, I'm starting to sink quite a lot. And I've come in above the trees up here. But I've respected it. So what you can do is push out here. If it's a little bit off the north, push out here. Push out this way, then come back in there. You don't have to follow that ridge. Any questions? Yo.
I have a theory, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you are a new pilot, you're on a low aspect ratio wing, those don't cut through the air very well.
That's correct.
So you're going to be tempted, if you're not getting a lot of forward speed up the cliffs, to push it at a bar. That's going to cause you to sink a lot more than you normally would, so that's something to consider.
Yeah. So you might as well start using your bar when you're higher up, and then push as far as you can, and then you make a decision if you want to carry on with your bar or not. But if you wait at the last minute to use your bar, it's usually too late.
Yeah.
The other thing too, maybe it's worth mentioning, is the way back. Obviously the way back, any of those lines here, the purple lines are probably the most common one we use. But you can cut from a little bit further here back, just because now you have the altitude and you're no longer fearing the rotor behind it. However, if you see someone from Europe or something and it's his first time flying here, make sure to be a good ambassador to them and not telling them that they could go straight through there. Like, it's really important to go around this way, always to go to the cliff. We never go to the cliff this way above, just because of the problem of losing altitude above houses with the rotor. But on the way back, it's fine. So somebody can show up here not knowing there's a huge cliff here. He could think that's kind of like a ramp, and therefore he doesn't think there's any rotor there. So anybody understood what I was trying to say here?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
One-way street.
Fly back here, you remember you're also in the compression zone too. So you have a lot less forward speed if you want to start pushing out to here. Be safe.
All this is landable, this beach here.
Yeah.
So you think you're really low here, it's like, oh, I've got no options, but pushing. You have tons of options. In fact, when you're low there, you can still make that landing zone
Really
quite easy. No
And
rush,
if you come back,
no stress.
when I come back from here back to Taylor's, I'm usually leaving around 700 feet. But it's a different type of wind. To come back from here back to here, probably 800 feet, most winds. And sometimes you get thermals popping off up here too. But always keeping an eye on your ground speed when you're flying, especially when it's off to the east, because down here is a compression zone. Always keep an eye on your ground speed. And if you ever want to fly down here, I won't talk about that, but yeah, it's a fun trip to do. You can fly out, but make sure you fly out. If it's off to the east, fly out like this, because the rotor zone shifts this way over here more. If it's northeast, you don't have to fly as far out to sea. Right. No questions? All good?
I was going to quickly mention landing at some if the wind flips way around to the east.
Yeah, I'd be landing way down here. Keep way away from it. So further away, because easterly, as you see, we're quite lucky. These hills are extremely rounded. They're not really brutally sharp. So get down here and land way down here. And if what, where's the ridge sword in here or above the houses and all that? Highly illegal. But yeah, you're not supposed to.
There's also quite a lot of wind there.
Yeah.
What's illegal about it, bro?
You're flying above built-up area.
Perfect.
What I understand is you can't fly above built-up areas at the Harbour, because we used to get complaints.
You get complaints, but the rule is be low. Resoaring and landing.
So you're allowed to fly above the houses and all that up there.
It's 500 feet.
That's a
What about
shot.
left of center?
It's kind of like you kind of don't want to mess up like relationship with people living there.
At least when I was flying my drone, we
Yeah.
told you can't fly.
500 feet is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're moving around as well, if you're not just sticking to a spot.
Yeah. We used to fly there, but we got non-complaints. In the end, we kind of said, like,
So
fly
this was
there.
closed at one stage because of that problem. They closed it at one stage. We couldn't fly the cliffs. Anyway, it's an amazing sight. If some of you have never flown this, it's another crown jewel of living in Christchurch. And don't be afraid to ask somebody that's around if you want to tag along with them. Sometimes that's all it needs. You just follow someone for confidence,
Yeah.
and then you got it in the bag, and it's pretty cool.
And the other big bonus at this particular site, you get sea thermals. They're amazing. You can be out here, it can be not that strong, maybe 15, 20 k's or 15, not white capping or anything, on the evening and all that. We can get thermals off here, and we can wind them up quite high. The
There's
thermals,
a few as well that flew from there all the way to Godley Head, which is, we tried that for years, big special days. I think Ondra and there's a few in the elite club who's made it.
sometimes we get
Ross has done it.
we can get a convergence set up. You'll get a light easterly, you'll get a light northerly. That particular day I did it was a massive big cloud bank right across here. It was, I think, 1,1600 feet high. But it was super, super smooth convergence. And I was just going back and forth from Godley Head and back. It was an exceptional day. It does happen every so often.
It's one day out of 500 maybe. But yeah, there's no 2 days alike, and that's
Yeah.
what's cool too. You discover the nuances of the days.
Yeah, if you feel the thermals out at sea, work them in, if you're high enough, work the 360s. Just be aware you will drift back though in the thermals. Okay, so be aware you will drift back slowly. Once you get too far back, although you're really high, push forward, get and then catch them again. They're a lot of fun to fly and super smooth. Yep, Bonaparte. No questions? All good? Right, this is Bonaparte. I'm not sure many people fly it. A lot of students do flights there. This is another site for their PG2. It's a fun site. You get thermals in here, but it's a light sea breeze site. If the easterly or the northeasterly picks up, you get quite nasty in here. So take off there or take off here. I think this is the main takeoff down here nowadays. I don't know. Have you been there lately, Andrea, or?
Yeah, you can still go through the gap.
Yeah.
It's been weeded out.
We can go through flies through the trees.
You can go off to the side of the
Yeah.
trees. It's probably better, but you kind of need to run it out because it's very flat.
Yeah,
It's very outgrown the takeoff there as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't launched there.
It's
for
better
years.
to launch to the side here,
Yeah.
like over there, where
Yeah.
you clear all the trees. It's
Yeah. Just be aware when you are here, right, you're going to be affected more by that sea breeze when it does come in. You can fly up here when there's a bit of a sea breeze, but don't recommend going down here and landing and all that.
You can launch also on the right side of the valley, obviously if it's not northeasterly.
Yeah, if you get light thermals coming up.
Yeah.
There's a takeoff there, but I'm not 100% sure.
No.
It's not?
No.
Okay.
And it's got a deer fence on now. And
Oh, has it?
Yeah. It's,
Oh, okay.
it's not a takeoff.
Better about a fence.
And just,
It's a big fly swatter.
just be aware, we've got major power lines across the valley on this particular site. They're pretty obvious to see. It's pretty hard to miss
Yeah,
them.
that power line will open your eyes.
Yeah, if you have it, it'll definitely open your eyes.
It's as big as they come.
It goes down to
And
a,
there's somebody, anyway, yeah.
yeah, it goes to a substation down here. There's seriously big lines, but you can see them. But this is a fun site. It's a light wind site. And you get nice thermals coming up here. You get thermals all the way down here, popping up there. And you can thermal up out of here as well. Landing paddocks down here in Barnard Park. It's pretty reasonable, site. And if it's a quick turnaround, you can get the main road up and down. So if there's a few of us, a few of you pilots get together, you do taxi back and forth, so you can do top and bottoms. But bear aware, once that sea breeze gets up, once it becomes virtually soarable at Taylor's Mistake, it's time to pack up and go to Taylor's Mistake. There's also, you'll start getting roaches coming in here, the air will start getting a bit messy. Okay, and just remember, once the airflow gets up there, it will be a bit stronger because it's getting the Venturi effect, it's getting compressed. No questions about this one? Towers.
It doesn't get flown much, and
Yeah.
there's reasons for it because it needs that perfect recipe. A light, very light northerly that's not suspicious. That's what I mean by that. That's not going to go in northwesterly. It's a light northerly, it's fine. Or if the sea breeze is not strong, so late winter, early spring, sometimes that site is quite fun to thermal and play around, but it's not a ridge soaring site.
It's top to bottom, more or
Yeah,
less.
top to bottom.
Schools use it for another site, so you get another site for your PG2.
What would you typically do if you start getting pumped by the sea breeze? As if you stuff it up in there too long?
I'd be top landing. Yeah, good question. If you're at Barnard Park and you get caught out by the sea breeze, just top land. Pull your ears in and get down and land up there at the top, because the chances are you pushing down, or you can land a bit further down over by the pine trees. Can you bring that up again, John?
Which one? There's
For
also
Barnard Park.
a landing because the problem if the sea
You can see
starts
it from
coming.
this side.
is it gets rotary in Barnet Park itself.
Yeah, yeah,
There is a landing right on the waterfront,
yeah.
which is not for
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, it's down here.
Yeah.
You can push out down to here,
Yeah.
but maintain high and push out here.
But you want to be confident that you know what you're doing there.
If it comes in here, you can land in here, or even try landing in here. There's plenty of room, but this is nice and curved. But just be aware, if you want to come in here, be aware it's speeding up, it's getting compressed. Keep an eye on your ground speed. When winds are picking up, turbulence increases with wind speed. Keep an eye on your ground speed.
Can I add that bridge is actually really, really nice to do convergence when it's on nice westerly and the sea breeze coming, and then you get some incredible lift over there in the evening. Wow.
Yeah, you get the glass off. It's another valuable glass off. We used to fly the Port Hills quite often. We used to launch the 6 at the gondola and that, and get beautiful glass offs. Well, I don't very often see it these days. Right, this is the towers. This is the towers.
I thought you said the terrace.
Don Southerly site. Do not fly here if there's a southerly coming in. Reason why is if you start flying here, it feels good, but the southerly's building, you're going to end up over the back here somewhere. Okay? If you want to check if the southerly's dying off, because sometimes you'll get a southerly coming through. It's like a little breakaway southerly from the main front coming through. And it could be a window of 2 hours when the little southerly's gone through, and then it might be an hour or two later the main one will come through. What I do is I always check Ashburton, and I check Timaru as well, Met Service, to make sure that southerly is dying. Because I have seen it from time to time. You get a little southerly coming through, half an hour later, bang, the main one will come in. So don't get caught out by that, but that's just from experience. This is a great site. We never used to fly here. We used to fly a site, what I'm talking about, in a couple more pics. Now, it's a brilliant site. We've got our takeoff here. We can top land, and we can top, this is our kind of important place if we're sinking out here. And if need be, you can land way down here. There's landed in here and all that's a bit tricky. You have to be pretty precise with your landing. This is where Taylor's mistake comes in. Good training here will help you a lot once you get up to here to fly. I would rate this as an experienced PG2. You've got your top landings, you understand what's going on. There's a lot can happen in this particular site. It's a fun site to fly, but it's also quite a technical site to fly to understand it. So we've got the Dial Southerly coming through here. We take off from here. Typical raise behind the ridge line here. That's the top of the ridge. You get your rotors from the southerly. We take off here. We'll fly around through here to about here. The reason why we kind of stop around here is because the southerly's coming through. If you start to go down here, when you try to come back, you lose a lot of ground speed. Because that hooks around the corner a little bit. Once you're up high, it's not an issue. Now, this site is very well known for the southerlies to die off really quick. We can be up there maybe 20 k's southerly, within half an hour it could be 10, 5 k's. But some days it'll stay 15 k's all day and we can fly for 2 or 3 hours. Some days you'll be here, there'll be a light southerly, we'll maintain it, and you get thermals popping off up through here. We can thermal up the cloud base from here, and we can fly in the convergence up here too. Some days you'll get a dying southerly and you'll get a light northeast coming over the back, but if you're up here, you can hook into a nice convergence. Good friend of mine, Jacob, he did this about a month ago. He had a real good flight. He happened to be up here, and he hooked a nice thermal and got up high, and he got up into the convergence. He had a brilliant flight. He had a really nice flight. Now, troubles with the site is the southerly dying off pretty quick on you. It does happen. And also you can come up here and be quite strong, because quite often we'll get the southerly coming through, and then we'll get the thermals mixing them with the southerly. It feels quite strong on launch. You've got to find that window that you're comfortable launching into, because it can get quite strong through here. There's a lot of time if it's strong through here, it's going to be strong up higher too. But it's one of those experience sites you get used to. You get to know when to launch, what you're comfortable with. It's not a very big ridge, because we fly around from here to here, and that's about it. As I said, if you go down here, you can come out to here. If it's on, you can fly out way out to here, because this is more of the southerly. But when you come back here, you're flying into the wind, and it slows your ground speed right down. We've got a house thermal here, but there's thermals popping up through here, And believe me, it's fun thermaling up here, but it can get crowded quite quick. 6 gliders to 5 up there is quite busy. We do have to keep an eye on each other, because everyone's looking for that lift, especially when it's dying off. Now, we're quite lucky in this particular site. This is quite rounded up through here, so we can top land quite a way back. This is perfectly rounded. So what's happening is there's no real rotor coming through here, so we can land back here. It's quite a big landing area to top land. We always top land here. Now, if you're flying and it starts sinking out, this is our next top landing spot. So you come in here, and then you nail your landing in here. This is what I mean about TARDIS mistake. Learn how to top land and learn how to nail these top lands reasonably well. Because what we do here, because quite often we'll be flying here, and suddenly will start dying off. Everyone will be up here flying, and then 10 minutes later, it'll start dropping off. People will start coming in top landing and up in here, and then you'll get 1 or 2 try to stay in there. And if the thermal, sometimes I'll grab a thermal down here and they'll thermal back up. Generally what they'll do is they'll fly over here, you start to get below takeoff. That's when if I'm starting to get below takeoff, I'm starting to head for here. When you come in here, you come in behind here and land it like that. And lose your height, coming in and into there. If you miss that, I'd be going over to here. Because down here, there's a lot of houses and all that down there. There's not many, there's no land, well, it's landing padders, but you've got to be able to narrow your landing, spot landing. It's a fun site, it's an experienced PG2 site. And as I said, it can get quite crowded if there's 6 or so up there, because unfortunately it's a small ridge. As I said, we never used to fly this. It's good for thermal, it's good for convergence. Some days I've seen people flying here, and we've been flying at TARDIS mistake on the same day. It's weird, it doesn't happen that often, but it does maybe happen twice a year. I'll see it, I'll look back and I'll see people up here flying, and there'll be people flying ridge soaring at TARDIS mistake. And as I said, if you get the right day, you can hook up thermals and up the cloud base here, or you can fly from here over past the gondola, up you fly to here, and if you've got the height, you can keep flying to upper Cass. But generally you'll start to lose your height, and you'll get to here and you can fly back. It's a bit of chicken, who can go the last and you get back and you get picked up. How far do you want to push it? It's a fun site. It really is, but it's an experienced site. And this, as I said before, you learn all this flying, how to fly these sites from TARDIS mistake. Anything to add, John?
No, I don't.
Any questions on this?
Those are the red rotor.
Yep, that's
what you've
behind the
got there.
bridge.
It's quite steep. It's quite
Yeah.
steep. You'll see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's cliffs here,
Oh, yeah, I see.
It's a
Yeah.
rock
Yeah.
climbing area.
and here,
Yeah.
but here, we don't get the road until way back here. So you'll see me or others landing way back here, because it's so rounded and smooth. And the airflow just comes up, but you got to remember the further you land back, compression zone. Keep
I
an
guess-
eye on your ground speed.
There might be just one thing I'm going to
Yeah.
add is after the southerly or southwest where we fly there, we typically will turn southeast and then east. So things to watch out for is speed along the edge here. Your speed is now different from going one way to the other. Normally when you fly here, the speed is the same going either way because it's dead on. But as it shifts around and turns around more towards the southeast, yeah, it gets quite tricky. And Mount Pleasant starts to be unpleasant
Yeah.
because it starts to throw a little bit of rotor there. There's a lot less lift here, like very little, and you end up having to really nail this.
Yeah.
So just things to watch for.
Yeah. So sometimes we'll be flying, then we'll start to swing southeast. As John mentioned, the wind starts coming across here, and then here it can get quite a bit turbulent. Well, not turbulent, but messy.
On the few good days, you can exploit that southeast by having a good thermic day. You get high enough, and now you can actually go around and fly all the way to Godley Head.
Yeah.
That's a really beautiful flight. Doesn't happen often, but if everything lines up right, it's a possible flight.
Yeah. But just be aware. You'll notice your ground speed will slow down. Okay? No questions? Yep.
Not sure if it's been mentioned, but for a new pilot, from a new pilot, because of the fact that this is the site for dying suddenly, you should be pretty confident in your high wind takeoff and landings.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned before. It's an experienced PG2 site. You've got to know what you're doing. You've got to know how to get your launches under control. You know how to top land, but you learn all that at Target's mistake.
Having a good Cobra.
Yeah.
Forecasting is really important with this one.
Yeah.
Same as Barnet, you can't, if we get away with it at dealers, we can go most of the days when it's either on or not on. Barnet and Towers, you really want to know what's coming.
Landing paddock on you.
Also, that leftmost top landing, for those don't know where it is, it's in the middle of the saddle between.
Yeah, that's correct.
It's where the cars park, right?
That's where the cars park for the gondola.
Yeah.
That's the saddle there, landing there.
Allendale is really good learning tool if you want to progress to Towers.
We're going to talk about Allendale soon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's very useful.
Yeah.
Older day.
Right, we didn't talk about this on the gondola talk because this went on quite late because there was so much talk about the gondola. Right, this is the typical landing field. Gondola's up here. This is the light northeast. There's the wind sight. You got airflow coming up here. Landing paddock. Don't land on the pitch. You'll upset the caretaker, the grounds manager. There's plenty of room to land on here. Now, this can be quite a tricky area to land. The reason why is there's so many little thermal sources all around here, all the house roofs and all that. Sometimes you can come in here, and you don't seem to be coming down at all. You get all the little thermals popping off and all that, especially later on in the afternoon or midday and all that. What we do, if we're coming into land all that, we lose all our height out here. There's no point losing it all back here. Lose it all back here. Lose bulk of your height way out here, lose all your height, and then you can swing down and come into here and do your approach. If you're still a bit too high, just do your figure eights or S turns in here to lose your height above here. Don't do them above here, because you'll overflow and you'll end up over here. Lose your height back here. Make sure you give yourself plenty of glide coming in, because it is a pretty big field, but the problem is all these little bubbles are popping off. Sometimes days you can come in here, you're just not coming down, okay? So this is another good thing. As I said, tailors, practice all this at tailors. You can learn all this at tailors. So we lose our height down here, thermal spiral down, wing overs or big ears and lose your height, and then stay reasonably high, but not too high if you understand. Then come around, come behind, check your ground speed. Even up here, check your ground speed, fly into the wind, check your ground speed, make sure you've got plenty of forward speed. Okay? But you should have, because it's only light northeast. You won't be flying in here when it's a strong northeast. And then come over here and land, if you need to lose more height here, then do your approach. Sometimes the wind stops going this way, lose your height over here, or out here, and come in that way. Same with the westerly, it's coming this way, lose your height out here, come in, and you lose your height out here. As I said, it can be a tricky landing field because there's so many roofs, all little trigger points for little thermals to pop off. And you'd be amazed how floaty it can be in here trying to come down. You could even end up going back up. Okay, no questions? Landra?
If I can just add, just in case the windsock is not there, for whatever reason, I think it's actually the two houses in the right bottom corner.
Yeah, it's got a flag.
Yeah, it's got a flag. It's quite overwhelming when you don't know what you're looking for because a lot of houses, but if you know where to look for it.
Yeah, I can't remember what house it is. It's a massive big.
Can you point it out?
Oh,
It's somewhere around.
It's literally this one.
Down there.
Because it's definitely far up this corner. It's a
Yeah.
white house with deck, so I think it's either this one or
it's,
the next
yeah,
one.
it's around there somewhere. It's a big.
Okay.
So it's good to. I like to lose my height here if I don't know what the wind's doing, and then I'm looking for the house until I lose all my height. If I can't find it.
Just remember, the big important thing is keep an eye on your ground speed, okay? But you won't be flying in here anyway if it's a strong northeast. Because if you are, you're going to be on a washing machine.
It could be katabatic as well, though. Like if you're
Yeah.
going for
In winter,
time of day, not always I'm going for thermal in flight. You will be doing afterward flight.
this is especially at winter, the breeze will be coming up in the afternoon around 4 o'clock around there. The breeze will start coming down here. Yeah, especially at winter, it does that. Once that sun starts going down, it'll swap and it'll start coming down. And if you ever do see the windsock, it's not there, just let me know or one of the committee members know, or just put a text out so I can go and put a new windsock up. But that one's lasting pretty well at the moment. It's a handy tool to have. But as I said, keep an eye on your ground speed, lose your height here. And I've put, you want to bring up those those black and whites?
Another tip, or if you've never flown this way, if you're losing your height and doing figure eights where that symbol is, there's a decent radius of where the field is a lot lower in those trees.
Yeah, just
you'll
there.
fly off it a lot, but
Yeah.
My approach is, I do this one sometimes when it's very light winds. But when the wind picks up, I do my loss of height here. I tend to want to lose my height here until I get quite low, and this way I can get in front of this building and side crab my way through, and I can pick whenever I want to come in with the height I've got left. So it gives me a lot of options of time and timing to come in. So it's a really good one too. You keep your danger behind you, not in front of you. If you do this one, you got to realize your danger is still in front of you. So you got to keep enough altitude. This one here, you can always crab your way through here, all the way to the ground. So it's level as well. This is not level, just up here. So just much higher here. And the trees are growing every year. I see people going through these gaps now. This one's claim one, this one's claim one through the years. So just use common sense.
You're also allowing other people to land in the same pattern as you. If you're doing S-turns behind your landing,
Yeah.
it's okay. But if it's getting busy, it's better to do aircraft first.
Yeah, you want to lose your height out here or here. then
Yeah,
you come
coming in
around.
same height together here is probably not so
Yeah.
a good idea. So if you see somebody losing his height, just don't do the same right away. Give him some time to have separation. Plus, it gives you an idea of what approach he took and how his landing went.
Yeah. So if there's two or three of you coming in at the same time, don't be in a rush to get down. Someone will lose their height first, let them do it. Just take your time. Listen, you can lose it here, or you can lose it here, or lose it here. Then come around like that. If you're still a bit too high, do your S's or figure eights in there. So I've also put those black and white ones up, John, briefly. So I'm adding these in so you can just refresh your mind on just approaches coming into landing. I've got 4 of them there.
Yeah, those are the classic
No,
sort of
this
approach
classic
that we've learned.
approach. You learn in PG2, but it's good to refresh your memory on how to do it. But they'll be on there anyway.
Yeah.
So I've got 4 of them there.
We'll post them on the group.
Yeah, we'll be in the group chat. Right, next one is uppercast.
Uppercast.
This is classic old uppercast. We used to fly this all the time. We never used to fly the towers there because we used to be able to drive here, or they can walk there if you want. We used to launch in here, but that's all overgrown and all that now. Up here, launch, top landing, all through there. You got a ridge line right across around here. That's Castle Rock over here. You got your typical rotor coming over the back. You got your southerly coming up here. It's a dying southerly site again. It compresses up through here. Just top land off up here. It's a beautiful site to fly. It really is. I think some of the schools take their new PG2s there, so I believe, and you just land down here at the park. Have they got a fence through the middle of that now?
Yeah.
Hey, Murray,
Yeah.
on this one here, is there any particular side
No,
of the
no
field?
more. Not anymore.
They took it out.
They took it out.
Oh, they took the middle fence out.
One half of it has got a huge fence with the left-hand side.
We're talking about the building site fence or the actual fence or the...
No, we're talking about the landing pad.
Yeah, there is a little bit of fence, but not anymore for work progress or anything. It's all open. Yeah.
I was there just a couple of days ago, and it's all gone now.
Right.
That's the way it was before.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
Completely. Just
Anyway,
fence
yeah.
it all.
No fence at all.
Oh, no fence. Oh, cool.
Right.
So now this particular site, it's a dying southerly site. It's a fantastic site. You can get convergence here as well. We used to fly all the time. And as I said, we used to just take off in here, but it's all overgrown there. You can go up here, you can top land up here. Now, if you start sinking out, you can bow over here, or you're going to land way down the bottom. There's not many landing paddocks down there. And as I remember, there's that big fence down there. I don't know if it's still there. I think it was ammunition was stored down there for the army or something. I landed in there once and had to clamber over the big fence. It's not a particularly nice area to side hill land. I think around here is not too bad as I remember.
Yeah, further up.
Yeah, around there is not too bad. Or it's
That's
easy
still
enough.
coming back though.
It's easy enough to glide over to here, but make sure you stay in front of this ridge here. Don't go over top because you'll be rotated, because it's quite a big faceless. It's actually a nice thermal source too. What I used to do when the southerly was starting to die is we could fly from all around here, up into this belt bowl, push out around there, and fly to here and go all the way back. There's a massive place to fly in a dying southerly. When the southerly used to die, I used to go up into here. This is the highest point. It's the highest point of the ridge. So if the southerly died off more, I still had plenty of height to glide on this top land here. But quite often I used to be hanging around up here above the ridge, trying to hook into convergence of thermals coming up on this side here from the light northeast. Sometimes you get a light northeast coming through. And
What
then-
season and what time of day were you doing that?
30 years ago.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
No, what season? What season? What time
Winter,
of day?
winter.
Yeah.
Winter for you, yeah.
For me.
Yeah. No, I used to just do it, dying southerly, just typical nice day, middle of the day, dying southerly. And I used to hang up here waiting, and I'd be up above the ridge line, catching maybe light thermals, and then you get a light sea breeze pushing in, you'll get thermals coming up there, and bang, I'd get into it, and up I go. So you can get convergence there as well. Because that's the only site we used to fly in a dying southerly. Because it's a massive big bowl. But, you know, we had to be wary because it does compress in through here. It's a fantastic site. So no one really flies it anymore.
With all that rotor going on, along
Yeah,
that
that's
ridge
behind the
line,
ridge
that
line.
ridge line, that'd be more of a southeasterly type of aspect, wouldn't it?
over this way. That's facing more, east.
More east, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
but
You'd
you
be
don't
getting
want-
that, you'd
yeah.
be getting that rotor, but when you're getting a southerly, you wouldn't get much.
Doing
You get-
suddenly it's fine.
Yeah, but you're right, wouldn't it?
It's good as gold.
Yeah.
We used to get up here, then fly to Godling Head from here.
Getting southwest there.
Southwest there was all right.
Southwest.
Yeah, it's fine.
Southwest.
As I said, we used to get up and fly to Godling Head from here, but we had to get really high to get above this rotor zone that come over here. Right, any questions on this one? All good?
So,
Ellendale.
perfect site to fly before going to the towers because it's the same wind direction, but it's a much easier place to fly compared to the towers. So if you want to experience more southerly flying, I suggest you spend a bit of time here. It's a really good site. We don't fly anymore because obviously with the earthquake, the road, the access is a bit tricky. But we're looking at 15-minute walk or something.
The bridle path is just use your legs.
Yeah.
What's that?
The bridle path just goes up there.
Right.
Yeah, the bridle path goes up
So
there.
if you
Yes.
walk back,
Yeah.
totally wouldn't walk up the bridle path. It doesn't.
But yeah, like Bob said, oftentimes the thermals here are beautiful. I've climbed up there really nice and high before.
Yeah.
And then you can push forward, make some little triangles, and play with the southerly here. It's quite nice.
Yeah, you can carry on
And if
here.
things changes, well, you get this big landing pad up here.
So if the southerly dies out, you can side hill land here, but then you'll walk up, or you can just push out here. You can make that reasonably easy. But for some reason, if you don't, you can side hill land down here reasonably easy. Yet again, Taylor's mistake. You learn all this stuff, how to do it properly, all these bit more advanced sites. But it's a fun site. It really is.
Just from teaching there, just be patient when you go in for landing, because there's that ridge going all the way down almost to the waterfront again. You want to stay on the upwind side of it, because if you decide to cut it short to get to your landing quicker, yes, you'll get there quicker, but you also get there much lower. So if you're patient enough to push out towards the boats and towards the water, you arrive much higher, and you just turn down when you go better glide. You have more time to assess your landing and your speed.
Right,
Gotcha.
Ellendale, northeast, east side, thermals as well. Be a brilliant site for thermals because it gets the sun first thing in the morning. You get nice thermals coming up. Generally to fly here, there's your takeoff there, and there's another takeoff here. There's a land zone way down there, and then also that big park there. But just be aware there's trees in front of that park. Okay. Generally you want to top land here if you can, but you've got to be aware that wind coming up from the harbour, it compresses through here where we launch, and through here. Walk down the front and launch. Is that fence still there? Yeah.
And the gorse.
And the gorse, yes. Particularly, this looks like you could land all down here. Yeah, it's gorse. It's awful, it's messy.
It's not that bad.
But
I've landed down there a couple of times.
That over here is probably more spots we can side or land.
You've got to go further down to get past the gorse where it starts
Yeah.
to flatten out a bit.
Yeah, down here, around here. But
The
there's
important
typical.
bit is, last time I spoke to the manager, he was quite happy we landed there. It's private land, but they didn't really mind us landing there. Obviously, we shouldn't abuse it.
You don't have the lower part of the hill.
Sorry?
You don't have the lower part of that hill.
Anywhere below the fence,
Yeah.
it's private. It's living springs. About halfway down is like a cat track or a farm track. It's about the flattest you get it on that hill. So I'd suggest if it's your first time and you don't want to go all the way to the bottom, aim to land there.
Just down here, you can land through there.
Because anywhere higher up is the terrain's quite rough and it's so slippery and there's a bunch of holes in there.
It's a hell of a climbing up too.
It is. Now, you got your typical rotor coming over top of your ridge. Now, the wind speed there, you're probably looking about 16 to 20 because it's where the wind indicator is. It's in a bit of a compression zone as well. So you want around 16, 20 or something before you can ridge saw here. Now, when you're flying here, it is an amazing sight to fly. You can get thermals in the morning because it gets the sun first thing in the morning. Be aware though, that sea breeze is coming down and it does compress in around the harbour, but it spills out back through here. It can pick up quite rapidly in there, unfortunately. But believe me, it's an amazing sight once you fly here and down off to the right. But yet again, it's, you know, you've got to have quite a bit of experience on it. Keep an eye on your ground speed. If you top land back in here, if it's picking up, be aware through here it's really squeezing through the wind. So be aware of your ground speed yet again. If you're uncomfortable, just push out and land down here. Don't go too far over to here, because you start to get rotor or messy air off here if you start getting a bit low. But you can fly from here all the way down to the pub. And you can land down at the pub. It's a good flight. Just be aware though, if you are going down to the pub, it's compressing through, is it Gibbs Pass?
Yeah.
Yeah. The wind compresses through there quite strong. So be aware, yet again, keep an eye on your ground speed. But it's a fun flight to do. Some days you do get it just right where it just stays around that 16, 25, but it's going to be it's not as windy out here because you've got to remember the wind indicators in the compression zone. Some days you do get it where it just stays a consistent sea breeze, just nice. And it's an amazing place to fly. But just be aware, generally it does pick up. Keep an eye on the water, you'll see the white caps coming. As I said, it compresses through where the Littleton Harbour is, it squeezes through there, you get a lot more white caps there. By the time it gets down to here, that sea breeze spreads out again. But as I said, keep an eye on your ground speed. And be aware if you want to top land again in here, it's going to be compressed through there a lot stronger. So you want to land down close to the front. I wouldn't land in here, I'd land in here. If it's too strong, push out and land down here. Because believe me, it'll be quite strong in here. That's a fun sight for thermals early in the morning. What, 10 o'clock, something like that?
Yeah, this time of year.
This time of year, they're popping off.
It doesn't get thrown nowhere near as much as it should for
Yeah.
the thermal site, as a thermal site.
Yeah.
Most people go there as a rich storing site, but if you don't mind maybe landing at the bottom and organizing a shuttle, it's a great place to find thermals. Typically, it's right on that spine here, somewhere around there. There's always something coming up here, really nice.
Where's the bowl?
It's just
The bowl is...
No.
No, the bowl to
It's
the right.
over the edge of that rotor zone. Yeah.
Oh, is it just there, is it?
Yeah.
What do you mean by
Like
the bowl?
The
Well,
bowl.
if you take off from Allendale, you turn right,
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
bowl.
It's on.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
there.
This
Yeah.
one here.
Yeah.
I just can't see it.
Yes.
So that's the summit?
Yeah.
That's
first
takeoff,
summit,
there's
and
the
then
first
you go
summit.
around.
Oh, I see, and it's just around the...
Yeah, I haven't done the whole ridge. But as I said, it's a fun sight because it's such a nice place to fly.
Flying the other way, when the wind is more east, it's
Yeah.
great fun too. You can go all along these ridges and thermal your way up, and you go basically all the way to the sign of the Kiwi, or close to it anyway.
Yeah.
And then come back.
And if you got more height, well, you can push more towards Castle Rock and all that. If it's light winds, light off to the east, thermal up, you up at cloud base, go for it. Go to Taito.
One of the challenges is going to Sugarloaf and back, the side of the Kiwi and back. So if you wanna stay
Or Little River.
Jonas's crown.
Yeah.
Go to Little River from there.
Then you go to Little River where you can fly to Taitap, thermal up, fly over, and land at Taitap.
Just got to cross Gaby's Pass, and
Yeah.
you're up on Bradley and the rest.
Yeah. Or you can land at Lincoln University, but be aware that's right on the edge of traffic control. I think it is, or it's just inside it.
It's just one of the sites where you wanna know you have good pressure in your wing. If you push the takeoff there, and you don't have the pressure, you're probably gonna end up with a fence.
I've seen it before many a time. I've even seen tandem do it. Took off straight into the fence, boom.
If it's light on the light side,
Yeah.
or coming more from the east, and if you do want to fly, use the lower takeoff from the saddle below the fence, so you don't have to cross the fence.
Yeah.
And it takes the easterly compression as well. So it's good for stronger, but also lighter winds.
It's also very good to prepare your wing at the car park on the lee side with the third wind. You check the lines there, and you come take off, and you're ready to go with everything, your gloves and your helmet, and you just don't mess around with that. Takeoff is the best, and it just can toss you around. And a Cobra will be good if you're lightweight. I always do a Cobra then.
Yep.
Right, Little River. Brilliant site. Fantastic place to fly, to learn how to fly thermals.
Who hasn't flown Little River here? Oh, that's quite a few. It's a great place. It's on top of your list. Go.
It's a fun place.
And it's close.
When you get it on, it's such a beautiful place, and the thermals there are really nice. I suggest if you want to learn the thermal, come to this site first instead of going to Cheeseman.
Yeah, that's a really good place to start off.
It is. It's because there's so much green around here. The thermals are not as violent. Don't get me wrong, they can get quite strong here at times, but nothing like Cheeseman. Right. There's the main takeoff here, and we've got a hang glider takeoff around there somewhere. It's a very easy takeoff. Light winds, light northeast or light winds, this particular side is. Thermals, we've got a house thermal here. You take off, fly in here, generally you'll hit that house thermal and up you go. But we get thermals drifting up through here too, and up through here. Sometimes you may have to take off that way because they're coming up there a little bit more consistent. Just judge the site when you get there. Now, if you ain't sure what's happening, if you feel rotor coming from over the back, walk up the road here a little bit, and there's a track just up to here. That's on the south face. Check that, make sure it's not a slight southerly pushed in. Okay? There's quite often more fly this here and a dying southerly as well, but we're not talking about that tonight. So, if it's not consistently light thermals coming up through here, but you feel it coming from the back, just walk up here and check it. It's just a simple, nice walk. It's a hell of a view looking down there too. Okay? Just check it, make sure it's 100% correct, it's not coming from the back of that. You launch here, you go out here, and you generally fly to here or you catch a thermal there. Light sea breeze will come up into here, and you can fly here in a strong sea breeze, but you will have to top land. But we're going to talk about that on another pit. Hang gliders, we don't see them that often there. I can't remember the last time I've seen them there.
They still go.
Yeah, they still do go there, but yeah.
It's a great takeoff for paragliders as well.
Yeah, you can take off from there. Yeah. You can fly down here, work the thermals here, you can fly all around here, into here, catch thermals that come flying up here as well. There's thermals all around here, but the main house thermal is right here. We take off there, there's a bit of a knob there, they come up there.
It's very reliable house thermal. It's kind of always there.
It is.
So on takeoff, take your time and see how the thermals funnels through the takeoff, which is another good thing compared to a thermal site, which this one you actually feel the cycle coming through oftentimes, so you can time it and go right in it.
Yeah. When you had your first decent flight there, Anton, you enjoyed it, didn't you?
I was in a thermal before my foot left the ground.
Yeah. So it's a brilliant site to fly. It really is.
It's great day.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day.
Unfortunately, that particular day we went there, there was a helicopter in here spraying horse all the way down here. But as I said, if you want to learn how to thermal, we don't get to fly this often as we like because it can be affected by the sea breeze, unfortunately. It can push in on us.
Yeah.
But it's such a beautiful sight, and the view once you get up high here, it's an amazing view. And the thermals here are generally just really nice. You know, you can get them quite strong, but they're just nice.
Go there earlier than you think as well.
Yeah.
You know, oftentimes we're a bit too close to the best time to fly. Go there earlier than you think by probably an hour.
Yeah.
So if you want to fly around 9:30, show up there at 8:30. Analyze what's happening.
And
Just lady first, find the little thermal sources, and then come back for a second flight. all this is all happening before the sea breeze is gonna kill the fun or change the flight anyway.
Yeah. And you can do top to bottoms. Brilliant for top to bottoms. If you've not flown there before, go and do some top to bottoms. You know, there's generally a dozen, so turn up, there'll be half a dozen or more cars. I generally slam 10 or 12 people in my van. I've got no issues taking people up. If it's not on, I'll go up and drive back down and let some people do top to fly bottoms. I've got no issues doing that. It's just a brilliant sight to fly. It really is. I can't speak highly enough of this. And the view is absolutely incredible once you get up.
Good place to learn
Stunning.
to link the thermals as well. You know, there's a house thermal there where you can link the next one and the next one, and then you can cross the valley and find more thermals. So, yeah, it's anyway.
Listen, we can't speak highly enough. But the thing is, you learn how to fly all this from Taylor's Estate yet again. You learn all those skills, you apply them here. We'll talk about just light winds in the valley.
It's probably also, out of all the other sites, this is the only site where you'll probably experience actual sink. Taylor's, Allendale, Towers, you'll have either lift or not lift. Because the river is proper thermal site, you also find sink here. So don't leave going to land too late. We only have one designated paddock there. Very important. Yes, you guys can cover that.
Right. Light winds and thermals. Generally in the morning when we get there, you'll get a breeze coming up here, okay? It's thermals triggering off, blowing up a cold breeze. It comes up the lake. But later on in the hour or so, it can start coming back down here. Hence why the arrows are back and forth. Landing paddocks right here. Has that changed at all yet, Mara? As you mentioned to me, it may change.
Just uploaded on the website. The after Christmas.
Yeah.
Just spoke with them again. Just after Christmas, we just shipped one paddock for.
So we're going to go that way.
Or this one?
Yes, so
No, that's where we land. That's the paddock we'll go to. That.
Well, it's better that way anyway. All these are better.
Well, then, yeah.
What
nice.
we had the last time.
Usually the one for
Yeah.
each.
We ran a bit further down.
There's one for each, and it's just go shit
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's not great for the white wing.
I haven't updated the website yet, but I will. Are you here?
Right.
Roscoe, can you just point where the cars are normally parked, just to give me a reference?
Right there.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
Okay. So we've got the takers up there, we've got the house firm, we've got your airflow. Now this particular area, it's a no-fly, as you can see here. Don't fly over the houses and all that. There's horses in there, very expensive horses, my understanding. Unless you're super high, you know what I mean? Pretty high. If you're low and all that, don't fly over this, or don't land in here. Because you don't want to upset them people. We point this out every time we have new people come up. We point it out. Don't land in here, all that. If you're low, don't fly over the houses, all that. Because there's expensive horses in there. We don't really want to upset them, okay?
So we're talking the left side of the road, aren't we?
Yeah, well, the landing paddock's there, we park our cars here,
Yeah.
it's just up here. And when you're up on the hill, you can actually see it a lot, you know, where to fly and where not to fly. We do point it out to you.
The narrow paddock on the other side of the road, two big ass poles there.
This one here,
Yeah, it's that.
yeah. There's two big balls in there, as Andre's mentioned. So, I don't know how fast you can run across the paddock. Maybe you can find out who's quickest. They're not always in there though, but they were last time we were there. I quickly checked, I think there was two in there.
Is there a windsock?
Yeah. I put a when I
It's not a permanent one. Yeah, we bring the windsock.
we bring the windsock. I got a kick-ass big windsock. You can see it from the top. Get this one. So yeah, that's about the main important. And we land in here. Do your typical approaches. You can lose your height out here and come in, or lose it out here, or lose it up here, then come down and around. Okay. We get thermals going up here. When you start flying up in the back here, you got less landing. There's a lot of power lines all up in here. And that's when you start to learn and do a little bit of cross country and all that. All around here and all that, it's all fine. You'll get the odd power line down here, but up here it can get quite messy. And there's a lot of houses and sheds and all that up there in the back.
And there's no reception in the valley.
Right.
There you go.
So land paddock there, we have a windsock in there. Generally in the mornings, the breeze will come up through here. No questions about this? Anything, Dad, you'd like to know?
So earlier in the morning it comes up from the lake and all
Yeah,
that,
generally
later on during the day it
comes up from the
sea.
lake, and then generally in the day, if the sea breeze starts to push in, it'll start coming down.
Down that way,
You
yeah.
still talk about the hang gliding landing in the briefing?
What one's that? The hang glider?
Yes, the further out is the triangle go up. That one.
Yeah.
If it's too windy on the lake.
Yeah, we're talking about that next.
Yeah.
Yep. Right. No more questions about this one? Right. Yep.
So when I was there, I think it was with you guys.
Yeah.
Last time, I was getting on a wee bit, and I was kind of like near the main takeoff area.
Yeah.
And I was trying to come out to land because I wasn't really finding it. I was suddenly not finding anything to stay up with.
Right.
And I was just getting completely flushed.
Yep.
So I ended up landing like way short along the road.
Yeah. Right.
Would that just be the sea breeze that's just coming in way too strong?
Starting to come in.
I had that coming down that whole valley. Because I pushed right up. I followed where you two went. And I came down the valley over the campground and it was just sink the whole way.
Yeah, it was very thermic that day. There was good thermals, you got to expect big sink as well. Because you can lose also a lot of height because when we were landed, it was quite thermic. The sea breeze hadn't quite established, but it was starting to establish. Joe and me were way up here, up at Hilltop, and we hit the sea breeze, and it actually stopped us from going forward anymore. So it was starting to establish. Right, we'll go to one more.
Take away, Rowan, is ground speed.
Yeah.
Check your ground speed. Like even if you're high, if your ground speed starts to be, check to 30, 25, well, there's definitely wind now.
Yeah.
And you pick what wind direction by doing a couple 360s. It's a sea breeze. Sea breeze, as we know, is a northeast typically. The northeast comes on this angle here. So you end up pushing into the wind to go to your landing zone. And yeah, it has caught quite a few people thinking, I'll find one more thermal, and next thing you know, it's like, wow, it's a long way into wind to go to your landing zone. And yeah, a few people have landed all along here, which is, unfortunately, we don't have permission, but if it's emergency, you can always land. But yeah, the takeaway is watch your ground speed as you fly forward to your landing zone. If you still have plenty, you can play along these ridges, fine, no problem. And also, if you get higher, you tend to have better penetration, like better speed, because your winds will slowly, the sea breeze will slowly be lower down and hitting these slopes, killing all the thermals with its cold air. So it gets trickier. Other than that, there's not really any other big traps. The lake is a great indicator of your wind strength. You can see white caps on it, especially if it's now white capping the other one outwards. Yeah, that's a sea breeze.
Yeah.
When it's sea breeze, I would not land here. Let's just say I had a great jolly time. I was up there and I couldn't maybe go further away and my plan changed and I need to come back here. If the sea breeze, like last time we flew, sea breeze was getting on, I would not land here because you have mixing air coming from here, coming from there, right on that point.
Next pick.
So we will move away to these other areas.
Yeah, that's what we did the last
So
time.
the next pick is about strong northeast coming into Little River, how it affects everything. Right. Increasing northeast wind. As John started to mention, here's your landing pad. The breeze comes down here, the building sea breeze comes down here, it wraps around here, it wraps around here. All of a sudden, all this in here becomes really messy. Okay? Now, what you can do is push out in here. Great, keep an eye on your ground speed. Okay? Is that the hang glider one there, is it, Andre?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that one.
Yeah.
There's also the rugby pitch right in the river if you're coming from the other side.
So, you can still fly up here, but you got to remember it's getting strong. You can top land up here. Okay? But you got to remember that sea breeze is starting to push down and it's getting quite strong. So it comes over from here, over here, drops down into here, and into here, and comes around here, comes down here, wraps around there. All of a sudden, you got extremely messy air in here. And believe me, it can get quite messy. So push out to here. I've landed here in that little paddock there. John's landed up here, around here somewhere. Just push out and get into this flow of air coming down here. Don't land in here. Generally, we'll say something on the radio. You know, if you land in there, it's quite turbulent, just say something on the radio. Because it's so much safer if you just push out to here. Yeah, and then the rotors, of course, start to increase and build and all that. It just becomes a different sight. So you've got to be aware of that. And keep an eye on your ground speed when you are pushing out to here. Make sure you can get in here comfortably. If you get them flushed in here, land in here somewhere, but just be aware of your ground speed, and there are power lines across in these paddocks. Okay? Because it does come in, unfortunately, and this is only the downside of this site, is that the sea breeze pushes in.
So an early start.
Yeah, this particular day when we went in with the heavy Anton fuels went in, that was all already triggering off like 9 o'clock or something like that. It was the cloud base was beautiful sky. It was 9 o'clock. We're going. We should be already flying by the time we got to land. And we got here at 10 o'clock, and the sky was already flat bottom clouds, beautiful size. We should have been flying at probably 9 o'clock.
The helicopter delayed us.
But the helicopter delayed us anyway on this particular day. But we were quite lucky. They were really approachable to talk to, and they were really good. Hence why the chopper, when he finished, he done that buzz buzz to let us know that he finished crop dusting. And he buggered off and went way over here. But he knew that we were in here flying, and he was more than happy. You see, Finch, when he was spraying horses all down here, below takeoff, all through here and over here. We had to wait about an hour and a half. Unfortunately, me and John, we went this way and got over here. We hit the sea breeze about here. But as I said, back to this, if the sea breeze is coming in, just land out here, or land up here, get away from it, don't land in here, because it will get messy here. But as I said, this site is an absolutely brilliant site to fly. But it's on the good days, you can take off from here, you can fly way down here, around to here, over to here, onto here, and down here, and land in here. All in thermals.
Or you can fly back to Christchurch.
Yep.
It's when it's good, it's good.
It's good, it's on.
Or Akara.
Late late winter,
Up top here.
just before springtime. August is good, it's great, and same the other way, like April. Fly almost all day there.
Yeah.
The sea breeze typically is not as strong.
For this here, we've got to contact the landowner. We've got to get permission first before we can actually go there. Just send them a text, and then we'll get back to you with the night or two.
Yeah, it's usually really good.
It's
with
pretty
me.
good.
Sometimes it's a bit, you have to wait a little bit.
Fortunately, we've got to wait for him to get back to us, because we don't want to upset it.
If you're doing that, just put a message on the WhatsApp as well so that he doesn't get hammered by texts from.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And that's about it. So, as I said, we can't hardly talk enough about this site. Unfortunately, we don't fly as much as we really should. But as I said, it is affected by the northeast sea breeze. But if you do get those exceptional days,
Light nor'easters.
just that light wind day and all that, you know, what's it's 9,500 feet here, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, you got 9,500 feet. That's super high.
It's not that often that you're going to go up to 9.5, but we were at 4.5 last time there. It's quite nice. Double the height of the
Yeah.
hills.
And it's,
You almost start to think you're on an island over the Banks Peninsula. You see a lot of water. It's really pretty.
yeah.
Amazing.
As I said, you can fly to Akaroa if you want a challenge. You can fly around the back bowl and over to Akaroa. If days on, once you get more experience. Or you can just play around in this bowl. Get up high here, then push across the valley and get onto this side, because this side's all in the sun. In the west, so it's in the sun in the afternoon. Thermals are popping up there. Quite often I've come onto this here, there's a trig there, and we've thermaled up from here and just worked our way out. Brilliant, a lot of fun. Nice thermals. But unfortunately, as we see, it's just that northeast can put an end to the site for the afternoon. That's the downside of it.
Because we mentioned the house thermal is here, but there's another one there, there's another one there, and there's another one there. So it's great. It's on your way down to your landing zone, and you can have a chance. Or maybe you missed this one because of timing. Or often time you can climb up on that one, So it's great. I mean, I love thermaling. I talk about my flying always kind of boxed into thermaling, unfortunately for me. But it's good for somebody who wants to learn to thermal. Then on your next flight, if you're with friends and you want to give yourself a little challenge, go for the next one, which is going to be along here, all along there. This one usually works well. And then ups, you get altitude here, you're going to see all the way into the Akaroa Harbour. And you can carry on this ridge, all the way to that one. And typically, if you're going to go further here, keep an eye on the white caps. Because if you start to have white caps on the Akaroa Harbour, the wind will start to spill over this saddle here, and it can get a bit turbulent in here, and then unfortunately your escape route is even more into turbulence. So don't wait too long if you feel there's too much white cap there. Cross over, go here, and if you're lucky you climb there, you can go over the township, go to the other side of the hills and come back. That's beautiful.
So you can learn a lot here from thermal flying. Okay, it's, Cheeseman is another step up again. Because the terrain is so different. When you look at Cheeseman, it's all rock, brown, everything. Now it's all black at the moment from the big fire they've just had, but
Cheeseman basically needs the same amount of time we've put here tonight, but just for Cheeseman, it's a bit more.
Cheeseman's a lot more advanced flying. Yeah. But you can fly it later on and all that, that's what it's going. But we're more than happy to talk about Cheeseman if you just want one overnight, or we're more than happy to do another subject about tailors again, but with all the different wind directions, how it affects the launches and all that. But the majority of you know tailors, and you know this already anyway. So, I don't know, it's up to you. If you want to have a talk about Cheeseman, we can talk about Cheeseman, different sites to fly there. We won't get into depth for the Cheeseman though. We'll just maybe talk about Cheeseman, take-offs, sugar, long spur and all that.
And the best times to go there too. The safer times, so to speak, instead of the rowdy times, if there is such a thing.
Yeah, well, autumn, spring,
that type of thing.
Yeah.
So autumn, spring is usually a
March, April.
milder time, isn't it?
Autumn's but spring can be a bit strong as it's the start of thermals and get quite strong.
Yeah.
But we won't be talking about going across country and all that. You learn that once you get experience, then you learn how to do cross country. Anyway, is any questions on this one? You're all happy? Roughly understand it? There's a lot to take in, I know, but it's just from experience of getting out there and flying and just doing it. Not taking your time, don't rush the sport. You've got years of flying ahead of you. Just take your time. You want to be flying a long time, not a short time. So take your time, learn your skills. Don't rush into flying. If you fly tailors for the next 4 years, fly tailors for the next 4 years. If you don't ever want to fly tailors, just fly tailors. Doesn't matter. As long as you're enjoying it. That's what it's all about. Anyway, no questions? You're all done?
Just about the sea breeze kind of coming from the northeast, being like that much closer to the sea across Lake Forsyth, I would have kind of like intuitively thought sea breeze would come across the lake. But is the sea breeze kind of acting on a much larger scale that it's basically just...
Right, the main sea breeze is coming from Canterbury State, Liffey Harbour way. That one in the morning is more where the thermal's going off in the morning and that, and it's drawing the cold air in, because it's more or less coming from the south.
It's anabatic at the beginning.
Yeah.
Everything's
Yeah.
anabatic, so east slope, draw air. So it's like the opposite of a river where it goes down to the sea. Thermals do the other way around. They go
Yeah.
up the mountains. So at the beginning, everything goes into that direction, and therefore Lake Forsyth starts to show signs of all the thermals triggering off on the hills by drawing this air. But when the sea breeze is really on, then it's basically all the southern Alps and all the flatlands that's wanting that air, and that's like amped up enough that anabatic flow still works, but it's completely overwhelmed now by that high demand of cold air from the sea. And so typically it starts to be what I call kind of immature thermals. They're small, they can be thermal then, it feels really fizzy, and it's not pleasant in the air. It's usually a shift, and it's that northeast now. It's like a cold rake. And it rakes all the land of its thermals, including us. We feel colder when the northeast.
Yeah. So
It
what's
is
that?
a really important point that a sea breeze south of the Beach Peninsula is a southeasterly, not a northeasterly. And that southeasterly will affect the south side of the Beach Peninsula.
Yeah. Because you got to remember, your thermal's popping off in the valley. It's got to, all hot air rising, it's got to suck air from somewhere, so it'll suck in from the easiest place. Which what happens at Little River, it sucks it in just up there. It's southeasterly, it's drawing it in from there.
So it's kind of like a local sea breeze effect that's sucking in from the south, being overtaken by a larger, South Island-wide kind of sea breeze that's...
Kind of, yes, but across the Canterbury Plains, south of the Beach Peninsula, all that area is southeasterly sea breeze.
Yeah.
In fact, it's a good way of telling whether the northeasterlies that we're flying in locally here is a sea breeze or not. If it's northeast south of the Beach Peninsula, it's not a sea breeze.
Yeah. Quite often when we do the flight to Akaroa, we'll see whitecaps coming up the Akaroa Harbour, but that's actually coming from the southeast. But our northeast is behind us when we fly. We know there's a sea breeze coming that way as well. One particular day when we flew to Akaroa, to this day, still doing the job, and we've talked about it quite a lot. We don't know what actually happened. We don't understand it to this day. We got into the back of that, heading towards Akaroa in the back bowl there, and it was really, really white capping coming up Akaroa Harbour. I mean, it was really strong. And I pushed out to the front, and so did John and Yatta as well, didn't it? It was, yeah. Now, for some reason, I was expecting to hit that sea breeze, and so was John, and so was Yatta. I got way over just behind Akaroa, and I was probably 200 metres above, and I didn't hit that sea breeze at all. And John was coming out, he was landed by the cheese factory somewhere around there, and he didn't hit it for about 100 metres above the ground, and then he was pinned. Because we would expect that wind to come through up the back of Akaroa into the range, hence why we pushed out, because we didn't want to be on the back range, because we could see what was coming up the harbour. But for some, God no reason, it was only about 100 metres off the ground, but super strong. But once you're above it, like John was watching me working over a ridge, and he thought I was working sea breeze, but I was working thermals. But I was only, 200 metres or so above ground, but I was actually above the sea breeze. And when John hit it, he had no full speed. It was really bizarre. And to this day, we don't understand why it happened like that. It was like it was compressed underneath.
Like a layer.
But it wasn't down up the back of the range like you'd seen it come down the harbour, you'd expect it to
It was
go.
on the bottom. It was
It was
three
really
strong winds.
bizarre.
It was southwest on top. It was northeast up there. It was like already 25 k.
Yeah.
And it was southeast in Akaroa. And all those were significant. That's probably why we made it. Because that day it was converging, a lot of convergence.
Well, we just don't know why that was only about 100 metres above the ground, but super strong. But it didn't get up in the back of the range because you'd expect it to go through and push up in the back of the range because it was really strong. But it never did. And this is what I mean, we're always learning. But anyway, there's no more questions?
That was good.
Always
Very good. Yeah, thanks very much, guys.
You don't want to fly anymore?
So you're prepared to do one or two more talks?
If you just want to have another talk or two, a bit more in depth about tailors, we're happy to do it. Cheeseman,
Good.
we can talk about the Canterbury range if you just want.
So just a show of hands, more detail on some of the stuff that we've talked about today, or looking at Cheeseman, Craigburn range. So Cheeseman, Craigburn range.
Paul on the tank.
Yeah, and okay, I think that's pretty definitive there. Yeah, so maybe we'll aim for one early next year.
Probably February.
Before autumn, maybe, so the autumn flyers can get in.
Yeah, maybe do the Taylor's one first, and then when it's good time, each them later.
Do you just want to do an in-depth one about tailors? Because we have an easterly wind there, we have a north-northeast wind there, and we can talk about each direction, how it affects the cliffs and Taylor's mistake. That's probably an hour and a half talk in itself, just about that. And then we can have another talk about the Canterbury range, about the takeoffs and what to look out for and all that.
But I think if we were going for February, I think what Theo was saying is we've got the autumn period coming up, and
Yeah,
we'll
that's
try to
correct.
time for that autumn.
Yeah,
And we can cover off the Taylor's one later on, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. You just want to do it mid-January, late January, I don't know, because everyone could be still on holiday.
Yeah, generally.
Big like jobs.
End of January, yeah. Okay, we'll have to talk about that. That's fine.
I'd like a talk on skew T-graphs
You can do it.
and how to interpret those when you look at them properly. I'd be interested in that if anybody else was.
Okay.
Because that's always very handy when it comes to thermals and stuff like that on board.
Brian would be the expert.
Brian's the expert on that.
Okay. Thank you very much, you guys. Yep. I really appreciate it, and yeah, I mean it's just like drawing gold out and getting all this information from you guys. Really appreciate it, and I think I speak for everyone here. Keep on doing it, and we'll see you in February.
Yeah, when we go to Little River, we Jenny put a post on the WhatsApp. Because we're more than happy to, talk to you on takeoff and that, but if it's an exceptional day, don't be surprised if we disappear. We're not going to hang around. We'll brief you on takeoff.
If we're early, and that's the beauty of being early.
Yeah, if we get there early, we'll do top to bottoms and all that with you, so we're more than happy. But as I said, if the thermals are on and they're cranking up to 4,000 or 5,000 feet, yeah, we'll be disappearing. We'll try to anyway.
So, appreciation again.